All right, it's on. It's on. Yo, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the show. If you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's episode, I'll be talking about it's frustrating until it gets beautiful. So I do these YouTube lives every Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys find this video content of value, you guys can show your appreciation by donating any amount that you feel is equal to the value of this video, or at the very least, share it to some of your friends. Maybe they might find this video helpful and useful for them. That being said, I'll be talking about a recap episode, which is on Cool, Calm, and Collected. The slide is you make the best decisions. And a mistake, and to start with a quote, a mistake is repeated more than once. And a mistake repeated more than once is a decision. So be careful making the same mistake over and over, right? Because if you keep making mistakes over and over, it becomes a decision. That being said, you make the best choices and decision when you're calm, cool, calm, and collected. You won't feel overwhelmed. You don't act out of impulse. You tend to behave better and achieve more in a day. You may ask, well, how do I do my best? And how do I do my best to consistently have better days? Well, number one is you also want to surround yourself with your environment, the type of people, right? And you do your best by surrounding yourself with these type of people, that things you do, things that you love to do, right? So if it's a job or something that you really don't like, okay, well, in the meantime, are you currently working towards what you want to do? Are you moving towards the things that you love doing? One love. What's up, Cynthia? So that being said, are you surrounded by these type of people? You're the average of the 5 people you consistently surround yourself with, right? So always be careful of your environment. Every day stand guard at the door of your mind. So be careful what type of information you're consuming and things like that. Okay, if you want to know more about that, you could go watch that episode. It's called Cool, Calm, and Collected. This means that you're staying away from drama, your environment, right, Patricia? So this means that staying away from drama, social media, right? Because a lot of social media, especially in today's world, social media, you're not really getting to choose what you want to watch. I mean, to some degree you are, but at the same time, it's like it's given to you. So a lot of the things that you're watching right now are algorithm that's being pushed towards you. So be careful watching a lot of social media type of stuff, right? You might fall into this trap, right? So what you should do is open a book, read something, right? So staying away from people, social media that consistently talk bad about other people, because at the end of the day, everything's as good as it gets until it becomes you. You know what I mean? Like your friends that you would think they're your friends, until they don't like you, well, guess what? They're gonna start talking a lot of trash about you, right? Be careful with those people. I got books to read. That's great. All right, so it's only a matter of time if they do that to you. Okay, so things are hot and heavy in the beginning, right? Maybe in a relationship, right? And if they love you, they always talk great about you. But if you find yourself around that person that's consistently talking bad about another person, you best believe that your name is going to be in their mouth when they don't like something about you too, right? So now, another one is it's also unrealistic to always have good days. So it's not about always having great days. It's not that you have to be happy all the time. Like happiness is not a destination, right? It's something that, when things it's going to be like waves, and I will explain waves further on in my episode, but it's unrealistic to always think that you're going to have great days. It's unrealistic. You're going to have bad days. That's just part of life, right? Life is chaotic on its own. So it's about regaining that composure and how quickly you could gain to that being cool, calm, and collected, which separates you from the rest of the people. That being said, that's a recap episode. And all my recap episodes have a lot to do with my episodes that I'm going to be talking about. And so I'm going to be talking about the meat of my episode, which is, why do women exaggerate? Now, this is my perspective. I could be incorrect, and correct me if I'm wrong. But how I see it is from a very evolutionary perspective. Women over exaggerate in certain things from an evolutionary perspective. Women over exaggerate because it's in their nature to. Because they tend to be the ones that's more nurturing, right? They're bonding, they're connecting. It's more feminine energy, right? That being said, while the men are out there in the tribe, right? Hopefully they're in the tribe. If not, it's gonna be hard to survive. They're gonna be the ones out there to provide and protect, right? And when things happen, when bad things happen, women feel like they need to be a little bit more certain that they will be okay, right? Because they're out there providing and protecting. So they're not sure on whether or not they're gonna get food or they become food. What's up, Tracy? So they're uncertain. Uncertainty is part of feminine energy. Okay? And there's a difference between, and men and women have both masculine and feminine energy. It's just that men have more masculine energy and women tend to have more feminine energy. And I really like, and I want to dedicate this entire episode to a few people. Coach Corey Wayne, because he inspired me to talk about this, but also John Gray. Okay? Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Okay? It talks a lot about masculine and feminine energy. And I really liked how John Gray talked about, in a very spiritual world, we have both, right? We're here. But down over here on Earth, in our body, we have to respect what we have, okay? Now, as a guy, I possess more masculine energy. That's who I am. It's not like, oh, I want to choose to be more feminine. It's just, this is my true essence. This is what I have more of. So that means that I act according to me being who I am. It's just being respectful to who I am and respecting myself and my own body, right? So I'll get into details, but as I'm explaining it, right? Why do women exaggerate, right? They're not sure if they're gonna get food, right? If the guys are gonna go out there and get some food so that they can survive the next few days or a day, or they become food, right? So it gets very uncertain for women, especially in a more evolutionary perspective, right? They're not, and when women get into the masculine, when women get too much into the masculine, and I want to separate masculine and feminine. When you're too masculine, you're all up here, okay? Feminine energy is about feelings. Masculine energy is logic and reasoning. So you can see why a lot of guys, they always like to logic and reason, because that's what we're hardwired to do. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Let me explain. When women get into the masculine, that too much testosterone is building up. It becomes more difficult for women to get back into the feminine, right? It gets really difficult. And what's an example of getting too masculine is when you get when you take a step back and you're like, wait, hold up, what the hell do you mean, blah blah blah. You're argumentative, and there's all these things. You're less agreeable, and you're like, wait, hold up. You're taking a step back, you become defensive, right? And you're up here, you're becoming too masculine, right? And then that's when a guy that argues and complains a lot, he's conveying that he doesn't understand you, right? So you stay up here. But if a guy understands, if he understands woman, and he needs to understand that, how do I bring her back into her feminine? He just listens, because women solve the problems by talking about things. You understand that? And I'm here to help guys. Look, if you don't understand, if you're consistently arguing with your woman right now, chances are you're conveying that you don't understand her. And eventually, if you do it too much, she's going to walk away. And you could be like, well, I don't care. I'll just find another one. Well, maybe you're very good at attaining these girls, these women in your life. But no one's going to stay with you long enough to be able to sustain this long-term relationship. And you'd be lucky to even build up a few years, right? So really look at your trends. Look at the trends of your relationships. See how far have you gotten, okay? Now, with this feminine energy is happy, is playful, is joyful, right? You're certain, you're understanding, right? But back to this whole Medusa concept that John Gray was talking about before. When you cut off the head of a snake on Medusa, what happens? 3 grows back, right? 3 of them grows back, right? You cut off a hair, boom, 3 more snakes come back. Now, us as men, we like to try to fix those problems, right? We're slicing and we're fixing your problems, right? We're cutting it down. And so every single time we try to fix your problems, you're going to have 3 more reasons to come back and give us those type of reasoning, right? That's just the nature of feminine energy, right? You feel like you need to validate yourself. That's validation. And that's why when men seek validation from women, it becomes very feminine. It's this type of feminine energy. And they're not attracted to that. There's no sexual polarity in that. What women are more attracted to are men that are certain, because they feel like, damn, I could feel that he knows how to lead this relationship. When I feel like he knows how to lead, that means I'm willing, right? Being a girl, you could feel like you could follow his lead, because then you trust his masculine core. That's the beauty of that. But now a lot of these guys, especially in this whole modern world, is that they're mistaking all these masculine energy as controlling. And that's if anything, that's insecurity. You're just masking out that you don't understand women. You're being controlling because you're insecure, and insecurity comes with a lot of other unpleasant traits, like being needy, right? Controlling. I mean, that's part of that too, right? You're controlling, you're needy, you're desperate. You don't really have anything really going on for yourself. And so you have to fake it till you make it. And that's why a lot of people that tries to fake it too damn much, they don't get very far in life until something bites them in the ass, right? So where men goes wrong is when he tells her that she has no right or no rational reason to feel how she feels, because then you're conveying to her that you don't understand her at all. That's the bottom line. And so I'm here to try to tell guys, look, if your woman is being argumentative, right? Also, and very important disclaimer too, okay? You also want to be surrounded by somebody that's easygoing and easy to get along with. I wouldn't want to be with someone that's always argumentative, okay? I want someone that's easygoing and easy to get along with, where she's like, it's not that big of a deal, right? So that she doesn't cause drama. I don't want drama in my life. There's enough drama in the world. Like, I don't want drama in the house, and then when I step outside, there's more dramatic people, right? Because what ends up happening is when these people, right? And an example is, like, I always talk back about the one incident that I had recently, which was this one guy started flipping me off when I was driving, because a lot of people don't, for some reason, I don't know. It's like they have this whole temporary amnesia, and they just forget. And they just get mad once they sit behind a wheel or something. And so when you're mad and you're aggressive, like it shows that you have no emotional self-control. And when you have zero emotional self-control, she's not gonna feel like she's gonna be safe around you. Oh, you're trying to protect. You're not trying to protect. I mean, yeah, by all means, don't be a pushover, but like, find a solution and not be upset about it. That is how a real man solve its problem. Be dangerous, but be kind, right? You find a way. Okay. All right, kitty. Thank you. All right. So, again, men go wrong when he starts telling her how she feels, have no rational reasoning. And you have to understand that there's no rationalization for feelings, okay? So she's going to keep finding reasons until you finally understand her, right? Ladies, I'm pretty sure you can attest to that too. It's like every single time he's trying to fix your problem, you're like, and you don't tell him that I'm not telling you to fix my problem. I just want you to listen. And some of you do. Some of you actually know how the mind of a guy. You're like, I just really want you to listen. I don't need you to solve the problem. And absolutely great. Let him know that. But sometimes you guys don't understand how to convey it to a guy, and how he sees it is like, you're just complaining. And if I know that you're just complaining about certain things that's going on, it's like, okay, like, what's going on? So that, sometimes not saying anything is a better response than saying something, especially as a guy. It's like, if you're not sure, don't just talk out of your ass. Be like, I don't know how to answer that right now, or I don't have an answer for you right now, so I'll get back to it. That's a way better response than, what do you mean, blah 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 blah, right? So and back to what Shelby said, what we all need to figure out our balance between masculine and feminine. A healed person can move between both energies heavily, while also maintaining their natural masculine or feminine state. Right? So even as a guy, right? Like as a dude, I have feminine traits, and those feminine traits are supposed to smoothen out those edges of being too masculine, right? So that I can also understand you guys too as well, right? Understand you ladies. So this is what happens when you're stressed and you're being too challenged, right? Your testosterone goes up and you get very defensive. And when you get defensive, you're in your masculine, right? And when you operate from that place too long, especially as a lady, it becomes very repulsive by other guys. They're not going to want to be around you. I mean, maybe if they don't know you and be like, oh my God, she's the most gorgeous person I've ever seen. But then eventually he's not going to want to stay long enough. So it's about operating from a place of being more feminine. So if you're a lady, always consistently ask yourself, how do I become more feminine? How? What will make it easier for him to want me more? And see, the problem is too as well is if you're not being appreciated by a guy and he's taking advantage of you, then you have to put your value somewhere else where another person will respect that type of value, right? So there's nothing wrong with being feminine, and there's nothing wrong with being masculine. It's just who you are and who you what your true nature is, or your true natural essence. Okay, so slide number two is women love to exaggerate. Okay, this is where men can be the most attractive self. Okay, this is where they could be the most attractive self when she complains a lot, right? And this is by displaying behaviors that you understand her. Okay, because a lot of guys, this is where they fail. When she over exaggerates certain things, right? He gets upset and he gets mad. And like I said, when you get upset and you get mad, it just conveys that you don't understand her. Okay, so a great way to do this is to understand her. How so? By taking a step back and trying to understand her. What do you mean by that? Tell me more. I'm here. I'm listening. What's going on, right? What's on your mind, right? Bring her from being too masculine, being very defensive from here, back to her feminine energy. Okay, so when you listen to her talk, remember not to take things too personal, because a lot of women, this is what they like to do, okay? They like to over-exaggerate. They like to speak in ways of hyperbole, and that's what my coach said too, Coach Corey Wayne, right? You never do this. You always do blah, 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 blah. You don't love me, so the key words is you never, don't, and always, right? You see how those exaggerate it, right? And it could be something as simple as, oh my God, I could eat 1 million of these. Oh my God, if I fall asleep, I'll sleep for like 1 million hours, right? Like you ladies just like to speak in hyperbole, and that's just who you are, right? And it's for us as guys not to take it too serious, right? Because when you say I could sleep for 1 million hours, I'm thinking like, oh, I will take it lightly. But then when you tell me that I never take you out on a date, it's like, I know that's not true. I know that because I've learned it. I know that when you say things like that, I understand what you're trying to say. And so let me explain further on in the slides. But so you never, you don't, and you always, right? Because what happens is when you get mad and when you get upset, you're communicating to her again that I don't understand you. So how do you respond emotionally, right? Will become another one of her tests, right? How you respond emotionally will become one of her tests. Is one of my best friend, not gonna lie, my favorite lesson to teach hyperboles. I'll need to know a little bit more about that, but let's see what else. So when you fail her test, guess what happened? The guys, you're gonna get more tests from her. And the more she tests you, the more upset you get, and the more bothered, the more stifled, the more perturbed you get, the more she's gonna be back into her masculinity, because you're displaying behaviors like, I don't understand you as a woman. I don't understand. Instead of saying, I don't understand, help me understand what you're trying to say. That's a better approach, right? Help me. That's a better statement. help me understand what you're trying to say. I don't get it. So when I do this, this is how it makes you feel. Is that correct? Is that right? And then it's not to be defensive about it. It's so that you can have a better understanding about her. Now, you also want a woman, as a guy, right? You also want a woman that understands you as well. That it's not that it only goes both one way. It goes both ways. Exaggeration shows emotions. That's how she feels. A woman in a healed feminine energy should be communicating more healthy, right? And be a little bit more direct to her partner. Absolutely. Because us as guys, we're more logic and reasoning, right? So the more she tests you, the more masculine she's gonna be. Okay. And this is where also a lot of things could go wrong too. It's like, well, back when, I was younger, I will always see, like, especially like my older brothers, when they get mad, they kind of isolate themselves, right? And I'm like, okay, is that what they saw with my dad? I never really got to know my dad. Okay. So me having this quote unquote masculine figure in my family, I didn't really know who to really look up to besides my brothers. Right. And so that being said, when they get mad, I see them get upset. They get flustered. They start yelling and screaming. And so I developed that as a child growing up until I decided, I was like, this isn't right. Something is not right. What does it mean to be emotionally self-controlled? What does it mean to be emotionally regulated? And does that mean masculine? Is that in alignment to who I am? Because if I continue to get mad and upset and start yelling and screaming, is that going to solve any problems? How is that view if I saw myself? Am I going to respect myself? If I saw fuck what other people need to think about me. If I saw myself yelling and screaming, is that going to make me better from a third person perspective, right? So it's talking about zooming back as well. And the fact is, no, it's not. No, it's not. And when I see myself, I'm like, damn, that's stupid. Like, I'm not proud of that. So it means that something needs to change and it needs action. Okay. So going back, it's like, well, the more she tests you, the more you fail her test, the more difficult the test will be. It's like you're setting yourself up for failure, right? But by understanding her, taking a step back and listening to her, that's how you will understand her, right? Right? So, and most people, this is how they solve the problem. They step outside, they run out, and you're like, well, you never know. It's like, that's all you know, they just leave, right? And when they leave, you're like, okay, that seems like the right thing to do as a child growing up. Like, I'm like, okay, so they leave, but I never see what they do after they left. So you storm out, you shut the door, you're like, fuck. And then guess what happens? You're like, well, it seems like you know what you're doing. And then when you leave the door, you're like, fuck am I supposed to do right now? I just left. Well, it's better than being in there, right? So maybe you call up some of your friends. You call up to somebody to try to cool down, right? And then you start following advice from people that don't know, especially if their relationships with their wives or girlfriend that's not even good themselves. It's like, well, you're not really taking good advice from these people. And then so you're going to be back into this whole loop, this vortex of not knowing what to do. So why not either one, educate yourself, start reading some books, or two, listen to a coach, and understand that, well, men and women communicate differently. Okay. Men, logic, reasoning. Women like to talk about feelings, and that's just how you have to understand them. Okay. And so back to the whole Medusa, the witch, aka the bitch, right? This is when femininity is not being supported. Okay, she gets more defensive, where she gets more masculine, and she operates best when she's back in here, right? You ever notice, ladies, when you're over exaggerating things, or when you're being chaotic, because that's also what part of feminine energy is. It's being chaotic. It's like, right? It's about blowing things up, and then us as a guy, we step in, we be like, you're acting really silly right now, right? Or depending on how well he knows you, you're like, that's stupid. And he just walks away. He's like, I'm going to let you just do what you got to do. And you're like, wait, come back, blah, blah, blah. He's like, nah, I'm just going to let you do what you got to do. I'll be back, right? And you're calm. You're cool. That's the guy. You collected. You're like, you're acting a little silly right now, right? I'll be back in like 10 minutes. Yeah, and then you'd be like, oh my God, I was. And then you run back to her and you're like, oh my God, you know what? Earlier, I was just being a girl. I was just being like this. I was just being that. And it's like, well, I know. She's like, how do you know? It's like, of course I know you. And then you'd be like, just work on that a little bit, It's not always very attractive when you do all of that, but I get it. You're a girl, you're a lady, you need to kind of blow off some steam. And at the time, I had things that I needed to do. And right now, I don't. So I'm here to hear you out, especially when you calm. I'd love to listen to you. But right now, but earlier, it was a different question. It was a different time. There's always a time and place for everything. So, okay. Not only do women love to exaggerate, but they also love to talk. Women on average, they speak about 20,000 words. Men about 7,000 in a day, right? So when she speaks in hyperbole or exaggeration, right? You always, or you don't ever do this, blah, 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 blah. It's not that you never, or you always, or you don't. It's just that how she feels at the moment is reminding her of how she felt before. Okay. So, oh, you never take me out on dates anymore. In his mind, she's like, I just took you out last week. What the hell are you saying? Don't say that. What she's conveying to you is, I want a little bit more of your time. That's all she's saying. You never do this. Okay, well, let's do something this weekend. Let's take you out to your favorite restaurant, and then maybe we could go watch a movie or something like that. Did the live delete? I didn't even know you wrote a message. Did you write something? I don't know how YouTube operates, so I didn't read your message. But if you want to break it down into a few words instead of one full sentence, that might work a little bit better too. But anyways, back to that thing. Isha, what's up? So that's how she feels at the moment. Women always like to speak in present term, okay, of how her emotion is. Which part? Mint. Sin. Okay. Now, behind anger is always fear. So, back to the topic of my episode, which is, it's frustrating until it gets beautiful. And behind anger is always fear. Wait, which one's? Behind anger is always fear, right? And so what I'm saying now is, it's always frustrating in the beginning because you don't know shit. And if you don't know something, go learn something. Pick up a book, learn from your favorite coach, follow somebody that you believe that it makes a lot of sense to you. And to me, I chose Coach Corey White. 12:30, she got food. Follow somebody that resonates with you, that makes a lot more sense. And then if you follow certain things and you understand, you're like, hey, you know what? There's certain things that doesn't really apply. That's why a lot of people in the red pill community, to me, they're weak ass men. Then the reason why is because they're there to stand on their side, pointing fingers, saying like, oh, what modern women are like this, you're like that, blah 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 blah. It's like you're saying that you don't understand her. That's what you can. And then so you're pointing the fingers. But instead, what if you took fucking 5 steps forward and be like, let me try to understand you, ladies, and then start pushing away or not letting people in your circle that doesn't align with you. Instead of complaining that women out there only does OnlyFans and stuff, well, don't be around those people then. Be around quality women that respect herself, that's in her feminine, that you also show that you understand her as well. That is how you could operate in a place and be peaceful together. And then as a guy, you know how to fucking take the lead instead of complaining that you don't understand her. All right. So red pill community, listen to that shit. All right. So behind anger is always fear. Humans have 2 greatest fears. The fear of, number 1, that you're not good enough, that you're inadequate. And fear number 2 is that you fear that you won't be loved, right? Inadequate, you're not good enough, and fear that you're not going to be loved. And if you have this fear and you're always angry about certain things, those are the reason why.
right? And uncertainty. If you don't know something, go learn something. Be confident. And how do you get confidence? By doing something over and over to be competent. So say something as silly as, Mitchell, I have a speaker. There's at least 200-300 people. You could put 1,000 people in front of me. I will still do the exact same thing because I'm competent. I've done it a million times. I know how to do Jungkook's 7. All right. But I'm just saying something as simple as that, like doing something over and over and over so that you get really, really good at it to a point where it looks so simple. It's like, how do you just do this? I would never be able to do that. And it's like, well, I've done it so many times. It's easy, right? I think there was an example of this guy. He was riding his bicycle on this dam, this whole waterfall thing, and he had his glasses or something. I don't know. They were recording him, and if he tipped, basically he's done, right? But he was like, I ride my bike my entire life, so me being on that thing was no different than being on anything else. It's just me going on a straight line. But I get it. To other people, they don't understand. But I've been doing this my entire life, or I've been doing this for X amount of years, so it's easy for me. And that's where you want to be at that level. But most people, they don't really work on themselves, and they live lives at least resistance, meaning they come back home, they don't really do anything, and they don't work on themselves, and they look like shit, they eat like shit, and then they start expecting better things. They expect the other person to try to scale down for them because you're too much of a weak, pathetic piece of shit to work on yourself. It's like, okay, don't be mad that no woman is choosing you because you're not working on yourself. Go work on yourself. Do something, and then maybe you will have better prospects. But until then, don't stop expecting women to try to step down because you stop becoming the leader. That's your problem. That's why I come here to teach self-reliance. I'm here to teach you guys to be like, hey, you know what? If you're here right now and you're not confident, well, slowly work towards that, right? And that's by working on building better habits, surrounding yourself with better people, doing the things that you love doing. That's how you get better at things. Imagine doing something that you hate every single day. Are you going to get good at it? Absolutely not. Maybe because you're like, damn, I got to do this, right? But if you surround yourself with people, you're like, damn, I really like this. I really like learning a little bit. See my cat. I really like doing this. And of course, your cup is always going to be more full, right? So then guess what happens? When you go back home and you have a loving person that loves you and you love her too as well, you're gonna want to give more because love is about giving. You can't give what you don't have. So love is about giving. Love is about understanding each other, right? It's not about taking, because the more you always try to take from a relationship, it's no longer about the relationship anymore, and it's about yourself. And when it's about yourself, that's the beginning of the end of the relationship. And I've repeated that many, many times. Okay. So behind anger is always fear, right? So Jim Rohn said, don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Do it. Become better, become more competent, become more confident. So here's a skill for you to understand women. Okay. The question is, why do women like to complain? Why? Her priority is that I need you to hear me out first. But us as guys, we're like, wait, doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just pull the nail out? And this is from John Gray. He was like, wait, why don't you just pull the nail out? Because her priority is, I need you to hear me out first. The nail's in there. Okay, it's in here. Just pull it out. You'll feel better. She's like, no, I need you to listen to me. It hurts right now. Women solve their problems by talking about things. So she knows that if I pull this out, it will solve the solution. She knows that, but she likes to talk about it first. Let her talk about it. But before you pull out the nail, which is quote unquote solving the problem, let her talk about it. Woman needs to talk about it, right? So us men go, why? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any freaking sense. Well, women, they like to talk about things. How many words they speak? How many words men speak in a day, right? 20,000 versus 7,000, about 7,000, right? So it's trying to understand her. But also, us as a guy, I wouldn't want myself to be surrounded by a woman that always complains. I get it. That always nags about certain things. It's like, to some degree, I'm like, I know that's what you do, but I also need you to understand that there's a level of mental bandwidth that I have a threshold of. I'm like, you're surpassing this, and it's not going to be very good for me. So I'm not going to align myself with that. I align myself with someone that's easygoing and easy to get along with. Okay. It's not to say that you can't complain. Who doesn't complain? I complain, but when I complain, I talk about certain things. And most of the time when I do complain, I complain to my homies. They understand. And my closest homie, you know who you are. Whenever I call him, I'm like, yo, I'm fucking pissed off right now, or blah, blah, blah. This is what's going on. He's like, man, I understand. And that's feminine energy. Whenever I talk about my feelings, that's feminine energy. And I understand that. But also, I need my homie to hear me out, because otherwise I might do something stupid. And I'd rather be in my feminine than do something stupid. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I need you to hear me out. Just hear me out for a second, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, I know exactly how you feel, dog. Like, this is what happens. Like, you want to blow, like, you want to shoot them down, or you want to do X, Y, and Z. But I get it. Like, you know, I'm glad you came to me first. I'm glad you came to me first before you did something like that. And it means that you also trust me too. So I appreciate that too. So it's like, you see, I'm like, damn, thank you. You understand me. And I was like, yo, thank you. I needed that. And so I'm back into my center again. Because there are times where like I'm completely stifled. And I'm like, and then I like to go back to that too. I'm like, damn, why was I so bothered about that? So even after my phone call with my homie, I go back and I'm like, what got me so freaking pissed off? And I know that behind anger is always fear. No, I'm not. Close. I'm not too far away from it. So that being said, I'm like, all right, I go back into my center, right? It's like, I'm not expecting myself to always have good days. It's just how quickly I could go back into my center so that I could operate from a place where I'm most at ease. I operate the best when I'm in my most natural, comfortable state. That's who I am, right? And I think that's how most people operate too. A woman should hold space for her man so that he can express himself in a feminine energy. Yeah. But okay, there's a fine line, Shelby, that I would like to talk about when you said that. There's no problem about a guy complaining about certain things. And it's like, you don't want to hold certain things away from her. But to some degree, when the guy complains, I always find a solution, okay? I find a solution on how to work that out. Because feminine energy is about, so anytime when I'm mad, when I'm upset, and I yell and scream and I talk, I'm like, fuck. And I was like, well, Mitchell, you can't be doing that too much because it's very unattractive. But I get that people get mad and people get upset. Anytime that happens, estrogen goes up. That means that I'm less masculine, right? I have less testosterone. My testosterone lowers down a little bit. And when I complain, I need to find a solution to counteract that feminine, that estrogen level. And I'd be like, well, I need to find a solution, right? Us as men, we like to seek conclusions. How do I figure out this problem? How? And when I figure out this problem, well, guess what? Finding a solution, us masculine men, we when we solve our problems, our testosterone goes up. And when we focus on breaking through barriers, overcoming challenges, that's what we thrive. That's how we thrive off of, right? We thrive off of us doing things that like, damn, I did that. We love to be that hero, if you will. True, I guess it depends on a person. I like problem solvers. That's ideal, but I also care about, absolutely. So it's about, talk about certain things, but don't talk about it all the time. Eventually, it doesn't mean that she's your therapist. It doesn't mean that she's your mommy. So that's another big problem, especially in this world too, is because a lot of guys are soft and they complain and they bitch. And so he uses her as a therapist and he uses her as a mommy. And when those two things, or even one of those two things, are being involved, she's going to be less and less attracted to you. You're going to start seeing a decline on sex. She's not going to want to have sex with you. When you do everything right, when you make her feel heard and understood, and when you understand her and she feels very feminine, she is going to want to have sex with you more than you want it yourself as a guy. That's why I made that one episode. When your woman is not wet, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Okay? It means that you're displaying a lot of behaviors that's turning her off. You're making her drier, this little cat, drier than the Sahara Desert. Okay? Coach Corey Wayne is able to take care of things. Absolutely. So it's finding that balance, but it's being not just balance. So balance doesn't mean 50-50. Okay, that's one crucial thing. Balance means that he gets back into his masculine, and sure, he can have a little bit feminine energy. That's fine, but get back into your masculine. That's the balance. Balance, people think, oh, back to 50-50. No, whenever it becomes 50-50 in any relationship, you become platonic friends. When he focuses too much into the relationship, right? So that's why I always teach guys to get back. And when you're getting into a relationship, you're there to share each other's completeness. I'm not there for you to complete you, nor should you be there to complete me. We're here to support each other. Absolutely. You should make me a better person, but I'm good on my own. You just make me better. And why wouldn't I want something great in my life, right? Masculine energy needs to be in a relationship. What do you mean by that, Chev? And it's good to see you. It's good seeing you on. Okay. Let's see. Used to be okay. Why do women like to complain? Her pull out the nail. Hold on, let me backtrack a little bit. I kind of went. They used to be okay. So why? It doesn't make any sense. Why wouldn't you just pull out the nail? Blah blah blah. Right. So they used to think that men's aggression was correlated with high testosterone, which is more masculine, right? They used to correlate that with if he's aggressive, it means that he is very masculine. He has high testosterone. But recent studies have actually found that that's actually the opposite. When he's more aggressive, when he's not cool, calm, and collected. That's why masculine energy is calm. It's like James Bond. It's like nothing really stifles him. It's like, oh, this isn't a date. He's like, who says it was a date? It's being indifferent. It's not about you don't care. It's being indifferent about certain things. It's like, oh, you're not going to get anything. He's like, we'll see about that. We'll see about that. Oh, you're not getting some of these goods. We'll see. We'll see. Right? And he's going to be where he's respected, where he's appreciated, right? Not where he's tolerated. So anyways, back to that whole men's aggression thing. It's actually more feminine when he's being more aggressive because he needs to yell, he needs to scream, he needs to talk about certain things, right? Because testosterone is all about solving problems. Okay, if he gets from point A to point B the quickest, testosterone goes up. That's how you solve things, right? And it's all about being efficient, because when we're out there, when we're trying to like kill for some food, we're not going to be like, oh, let me coddle it a little bit. Bang, right? Like, no, we're going to be like, okay, we need food. That's a deer. She's at home. Baby's hungry. She needs milk. She's not going to produce milk. I'm not a scientist. She can't produce milk if she don't have food herself. You can't give what you don't have, right? I don't know. I'm making shit up at this point. But it's like, well, she needs milk. Baby needs milk. She's hungry. She can't produce milk if she's hungry. I need that deer. How do I get from point A to point B? Bang. Being efficient. Okay, so woman, at a biological level, you're more feminine. So it means that you have more estrogen. And that's why, ladies, you can't stand the fact, and this is crazy thing. You can't stand the fact that us as men, we can live our lives so simple. You don't understand. It's like, how are you? It doesn't make any sense. You don't even have a bed frame. You just have a mattress. You don't even have like a cover for that. And you have a TV and like some Hot Pockets. And you're happy? What? You're like, oh, I need to be like this. I need to do my nails. I want to look pretty. No, just give me a like if I had nothing and you took everything away, you're like, Mitchell, you got 2 shirts. I'm like, well, there's 4 days in a week. I could wear one shirt for about 3 to 4 days before I cycle it for the new one, right? And if I hand wash this
and I let it dry, right? Like I got 2 shirts and I got two underwears. I will make it work. I will make it work. To you ladies, like, oh, that's fucking disgusting. I can't. It's like, yeah, to some degree, you can't stand the fact that we live life so simple, right? And to give you an example for that, right? You like to make things a little bit more complicated, and this it. You're like, he hasn't really called me all day. What the fuck is he? What is he thinking? Look at him just sitting there staring at the wall. What is he thinking? You ever seen a guy that's just like, he felt like he had too much? He's like, fuck, man, that's a lot of fucking work. And he's just staring into this, like through a window. He's like, and he's like, huh? What'd you say? You, in your mind, you're like, what is he thinking? What is he thinking? You know what he's thinking? He's thinking nothing. He's not thinking about anything. He's not thinking about you. He's not thinking about work or the kids. He's just staring outside the window because he's had enough. And he's thinking about nothing. That's how you're like, well, no, you can't think about nothing. Like, it's like, no, he's really thinking about nothing. It's as simple as that. And you can't stand the fact that we could just think about nothing. Okay? So, hear me out. If you're a guy, okay, and the next time you want to argue back with your woman, I encourage you to take a step back and not argue, because men who understands women don't argue with them. Like I said, you can have disagreements. It doesn't mean you argue with them. Okay, so take a step back, and chances are, if you're arguing back, you're fearful. Okay, behind anger is always fear, and so something, and it's usually something you're lacking, something you don't know. Okay, so start displaying behaviors that is more attractive to her, right? So if she's doing something, like I said earlier, and she, you know, you could be like packing. Maybe you pack a little bit slower than she does because she knows how to do it, and she makes fun of you. Midge, I don't know how to pack. I do my best, but you don't know how to pack, Midge. I'm like, why don't you bring your sexy ass over here and show me then, right? Instead of being like, what do you mean I don't know how to pack? Look, I'm like, no, bring your sexy ass over here, turn around, and show me how to pack. No, I don't want to do that. Then stay over there. Then stop talking. All right, let me do my thing. All right. And if I decide to go take a shit and take a bath or a shower or whatever, and I come back and my clothes is magically packed better, I'm not gonna be mad at that. And I just go walk away and I do my own thing. So it's not about being bothered by certain things, right? It's not being stifled. It's not being perturbed. Next. And this is my last slide. Okay. And this hair thing, not getting used to. And it's getting longer by each day. Okay. It's starting to touch my face. Okay. Last slide. Order women. Oh, okay. You retracted your message. I can't read that. All right. So you don't know what you don't know. Okay, and that's just the that's just the truth. You don't know what you don't know. So let me explain a little bit to you. Woman, and I said this before, John Gray, shout out to you. Coach Corey Wayne, shout out to you. Thank you for all the insights. Couldn't have done it without you. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. So let me explain. You don't know what you don't know. Women are like the sun, and the sun will always shine. Okay? The sun will always shine. But from time to time, clouds get in the way, right? But it will blow past. It will blow past. And that's the example that I use many, many times. Recently, I figured this out too. I heard John Gray talk about this. So shout out to him. And he talked about waves. Right? And we could talk about waves just like relationship-wise. When the waves are high, and it's going high and it's going up, nothing he does is wrong. He can do no wrong, right? Anything he does, it's like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Maybe he chews a little bit too loud, and like anybody that chews bothers the shit out of you. But for him, for some reason, oh my God, I love him so much. I don't care. It's kind of cute actually that he chews like that. I get to hear him more. You want him more. You want his presence, right? And when you want his presence more, it's because you trust him. You trust his masculine core. When text messages from anybody will piss you off, but the moment he texts you, oh my God,
He's texting me. I don't know. That's what you do, right? When the waves are high. When the waves are high. Okay? And you could do no wrong. Love is in the air, right? You could have just had great sex. Great sex. Amazing sex. But then the next day. 24 hours, 10 hours later, the next day, waves are coming back down. And this is where guys go wrong. They're going, go back. The waves are coming crashing back down. He's like, go back. And it's like, no. Waves go up, waves go back down. Okay. And trying to explain to her why she feels how she feels is not valid, that's not going to do any good. Okay. But then if guys know, if you know, hey, it's that time, not her time, not period wise. Maybe she is, I don't know, but it's that time again where the waves are coming back down. So let it go down. It's okay. And this is a time where you give her what she needs. Okay, you give her what she needs. So there's no logical explanation, no rationalization of how she feels. You can't fix her right now. Okay. You can't make her happy right now, but what you can do is create the space for her to feel safe around you so that she trusts you more. Because eventually, just like the waves and just like the sun will always shine. And just like the waves, it will go back up. You just got to give it some time, right? And so it's not to be bothered by that. It's giving her the security. Yeah, provide and protect, right? But providing, it's not just money. It's not just shelter. It's just not a roof over her head. It's not bringing food to the table all the time. But it's showing her and displaying behaviors that you understand her too as well. Because she's fighting her own little demons going, what the hell's going on over there? Be like, you all right? Do you need me to call for some help? Like, you look like you need some help right now, girl. Like, you're scaring me a little bit. Like, you stared at the wall a little bit too long, and it's getting me a little concerned. You didn't say nothing, all right? Are you going to turn around and have your eyes all bloody and red? Because I don't want to be a part of that when that happens. I like it when you smile a lot. You're good, right? And she's like, what are you saying? Right? She's going to give you some shit about it, but it's all about having fun, right? Love is playful and fun, right? It's encouraging, right? Shouldn't be control her, right? Absolutely. So the waves goes down, and that's not to be bothered by those moments when the waves are going back down or when the clouds are getting in the way of the sun, right? And you're not forcing it. And there was one example of the sun. It was the sun versus the wind. And the wind went first. He was like, I bet you I could blow off that jacket off Mitchell Tang. And they're like, look. And so the wind blows and blows and blows. And, Mitchell was like, holy shit, it's actually getting a lot colder, right? Then it's like the sun's turn. It's like, you know what? I'm just going to chill and I'm going to slowly ramp up the temperature. And as I'm walking in this desert with this blue jacket on, it's like, it's getting a little hot. It's getting a little hot, right? That's exactly how it goes. It's not to be pushy. It's not to be impatient. It's knowing that, she have her moments, the waves goes up and the waves goes down, right? So, you can't fix her. You can't make her happy. Right now, it's the time to make her create the space to make her feel safe and comfortable with you, right? Because if you think about it, how are you supposed to be in this loving relationship if you're only the one there, only supporting your needs? So if she's acting upset, well, okay, try to understand her instead of being upset. But a lot of guys I know, eventually they're gonna be like, Mitchell, you're a simp. You're Mr. White Knight in shining armor. You're trying to save her. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm trying to have a peaceful relationship. That's what I'm trying to have. You can listen to whoever you want. And if you're the type of guy in here and you're listening to these type of advice and you're getting bothered and you're getting upset because you're like, oh, women needs to do this too. It's like, well, you know what? I'm not here to teach women right now. My focus is on how you guys are not taking a lead in the relationship anymore, or in the lead of dating, this courtship, right? There's so many things, and relationship go through phases, and if you don't know certain steps, you're gonna get stuck. And I'm here to show you there's certain ways on how to approach certain things instead of pointing fingers at other people on why they need to go down and understand you. That's about you. That's no longer about the relationship. It's no longer about being understanding, right? So if you're that guy and you're getting upset for this reason, well, guess what? I'm not the coach for you. There's millions of other people that you could listen and follow, okay? I'm not the guy, okay? And that's okay. There's plenty of other people that wants to improve themselves. So that being said, one last thing I want to talk about is creating that space for her to feel safe and comfortable so that she will trust your masculine core. And you can't give what you don't have. And at the very end of the day, you want to attract the person of who you want to become. So if I want a person that's easygoing and easy to get along with, well, guess what? I don't want to be around someone that's always like dramatic. I get it. Women are dramatic a little bit sometimes. It's sometimes a little chaotic. Call it crazy, if you will. Like, okay, is that level of craziness for me to deal with? And if it is this all you got? Okay, that's fine. That's okay. I could deal with that. I get it. It's a little cute sometimes, all right? Because feminine energy is chaotic. And us as guys, we're supposed to be in there to step in and create this big problem that she has. To be like, it's all right. It's okay. You don't choke them unless they want it, all right? But you just be like, it's okay. It's all right. Let me hear you out. What's going on? What's on your mind? Tell me more. What's going on? What's bothering you, right? So that being said, that is the end of my show. I do have a summary that I want to talk about, which is all the slides. So the first slide was women love to exaggerate. Women love to exaggerate. And from an evolutionary perspective, women over-exaggerate because it's in their nature to. While men out there in the tribe are out there to provide and protect. And when things happen, women needs to feel safe and secure and understand, right? They need to be certain. That's part of feminine energy. And when guys seeks for validation and justification and all that, well, guess what? It becomes very unattractive. So us as guys, you only need to prove to yourself. You don't need to prove to other people. Okay. And why do women over exaggerate? Why do women exaggerate? Well, when feminine energy doesn't feel supported, she gets more into her masculine, right? More defensive. So it's our goal, us as guys, to bring from her masculine back to her feminine by listening to her, by understanding her. What's going on? All right. Are you sure you're just not hungry? When was the last time you ate? What did you eat? Did you forget to take your medicine? I mean, look, depending on the time, she will laugh, right? Like, as long as you don't take it too serious, like, it's one of those days, right? You forgot to take your special prescribed medicine. So, women love to exaggerate, right? And behind anger is always fear. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Woman knows that she needs to pull, like, she knows she needs to pull out the nail first, but she wants to talk about it. So let her talk about it. Let her solve her own problems, right? Women they need to talk about things, right? But us men, we're like, why? I don't get it. It doesn't make any damn sense. Just do this and you will solve your problem. But yet you're just conveying that you don't understand. So you don't know what you don't know. And when the waves are high, right? Like I said, you could do no wrong. Everything you do is right. But when the waves are coming back down, this is when the time you provide her the safety and comfort for her to feel safe and comfortable to rely on you, right? She wants to rely on you and be like, damn, this is the guy that understands me. This is the guy that, when shit hits the fan a little bit, he's like, he knows, he understands me, right? And men that understands women don't argue with them. And so with that being said, I give big shout out to all my episodes are because of Coach Corey Wayne, right? Love every single one of his philosophies and how he made me into a better person today so that I could provide these type of information to you too as well. So that being said, thank you all for listening to this live. Today's episode it's frustrating until it gets beautiful. And that's the beauty of it. When you don't know something, you're frustrated. But when you start understanding certain things, and this goes for beyond just relationships, it's anything in life. when you start understanding it, it becomes beautiful. You start understanding it. And so that being said, thank you all. I'll catch you guys on next week's live. I don't have a title yet, but I'll be talking about something. So if you guys are interested, please come back, and we'll talk about more relationships and more self-reliance. Take care. Have a lovely, lovely Saturday. Peace out.